so show me which numbers you want to do on your hand.
1.
Three?
Yes. There's 61 interesting mix of numbers. Alright, everyone keep your hands up so I can count.
What? No. I just, no. Wait, this one.
Okay. And then, over you groups. Okay, so I saw a lot of 4s and 5s, and then let's recount the other ones. If you were a 1, raise your hand.
I just want to know the word from you guys like really solid.
You were a 2, raise your hand.
That wasn't 1.
Okay. If you were a 3, raise your hand.
It's like when
After you said so. I'm only counting you for one of those things.
which one?
Let's do 4 and 5 and
1. 2.
1.
And then
6.
2. 1, 2.
1.
2. 1.
You say 2, 1.
I'm plus 2.
1. 1.
Yes.
1, 4, and 5.
Oh.
It's
Yeah, and how do you do
Alright, for number 1, we needed to solve this.
What did you get for number 1?
So distribute, so we have 5x minus x plus 18 equals 6 minus 2x minus 30. Start to combine your like terms on the same side, so this will become 4x plus 18 equals negative 24 minus 2x. Okay. At this point, how many solutions would we have? 1, none, infinitely many.
1.
1, because we have different coefficients, so we're going to get one solution at the end. So, however you chose to move this, let's say I added 2x and subtracted 18. So we would divide both sides by 6 to get negative 7.
What did I say?
Questions on that one? For number 4, you also needed to solve this one. Distribute, we have negative 8x minus 8 equals negative 8x minus 2. At this point, how many solutions would we have? 1. Not infinitely many. Not 1, it would be no solution. Because we have the same coefficient but different constants. So at this point, you could stop and say no solution. Or if you kept going, this would be no solution. If you moved one of these to the other side, this would again be no solution. So either way you look at it, no solution was the answer. Questions on that one? And then number 5, you had an absolute value equation. So isolate it, get rid of the 3 by subtracting. And then because this equals a negative, this would be no solution.
Oh, it's just no solution.
It's also an extraneous solution, but no solution, yes. So if you have anything else besides this, you erase it. You should only have up to this.
No, I accidentally called my cousin today.
In a moment.
Hello.
Okay, so I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about this. It was more so for on your flex day, which was Friday, but for future flex days as well. Because some of you do what you're supposed to do on a flex day, and some of you do not. Some of you use the time wisely, and some of you do not. So, moving forward, for your next flex day, you need to be using your time wisely. You need to be doing your test corrections, your Delta Math, your additional practice on the days I give you in class. That way you're spending less time after school working on all of that stuff. But also, that means doing the Delta Math ahead of time when I assign them, when they're due, so that's one less thing you have to do later. Because a lot of you are playing this catch-up game where you don't do the Delta Math and then have to retake and then now have to go back and do it, and it's too much time you're wasting. So if you just did the assignments when they're due, you wouldn't have that problem. The additional practice is different because it comes out, it gets posted when tests are finished, but there's nothing stopping you from trying that when it comes out. That way you know less to do when you go to retake. So keep those things in mind. Something else I was noticing in really all of my classes, that most of you are not coming to see me until you failed your quiz or test. That is way too late. If you know you're not understanding something today, you should be in my office hours today or next week. Not 3 weeks from now asking me something about a month ago. It doesn't make sense. So, you guys need to come see me more often if you're not understanding something in class as soon as possible. That way you're not making the same mistakes on the quiz, on the test, and then having to go through this retake process. Do you have any questions about that? Do we all understand each other? Head nods or yeses from everybody. Great. We're going to change one thing. I've been trying to figure out how exactly to do this. So I mentioned that last year I assigned Khan Academy, and something in Khan Academy, when everyone would do their work, watch videos, whatever, it would attribute to this ring system. I don't know. And every ring, I gave them gumballs, or they were allowed to get gumballs. So I've been trying to figure out how to do that with you guys. So we're going to do that with the Delta Math. So when I give you a Delta Math, so like there's one, these are already posted. There's one due next Friday. We'll look at your course calendar in a second to figure out when the other one is due. After the Friday or Thursday is due, whenever I see you next in class, we're going to look at it. This is fairly new, so most people have done it, but anyway. If we look at this and look at your complete class grade, if this number is a 50%, you get a gumball. Everyone. For every assignment that's due on Friday. If this is 100%, everyone gets 2 for every assignment. So, that means you guys have to do your work, though. You don't get gum if you don't do your work. Questions about that? Alright. We are going to start new notes, but let's look at your course calendar for a second. I have to find my version of this. Alright, yes, you can go to that. So take note of when your Delta Math is due. So I mentioned the one is due on next Friday. The other one will also be due next Friday, and then you'll have one due right before Thanksgiving break. So keep that in mind. And then also take note that the quiz will be the week we come back from Thanksgiving break, because it is right after that. I'm going to adjust the quiz rules and tell you about that on the quiz day. And then the test will be that Friday. The flex day will be the following Tuesday. So keep those dates in mind. There are only 2 objectives for this unit. Writing, parallel and perpendicular lines. So some of this will be review, some of it will be new. But we're going to cover We're going to write this definition and see how much time we have. So on your notes, there's a bunch of different things for writing that we need to talk about. You'll see it on your course calendar. One of them is writing from a graph, which we kind of did in graphing. So if we are writing from a graph, we need to identify what the slope and y-intercept is on. And write the equation in slope-intercept form, which is what? So for these first two have a spot for m for b, and then the rest just have the equation. If you still want to write off to the side what is your m, what is your b, that way it's easier to put it in the equation, you can do that. If not, that's also okay. So let's do one and then we'll stop. For these, I would find the y-intercept first. This graph is a little hard to see, but there is one right here. What is your y-intercept?
-2.
-2, so I can put that here. And then there is another point on this.
-1.
And then find your slope. Count your rise over rho. Someone said it, say it louder. 2. And we want these simplified. So then we would use these two numbers to write our equation, which would look like what?
Why did you say? I thought the m was the slope.
Yes.
Oh, wait, I put 1.
So how do we know it? So is b always going to be the y-intercept?
Correct.
Then what do we do for the x-intercept?
We're not looking for that here.
What we have to on the test? We have to we'll say y-intercept or x-intercept.
We're not looking for x-intercept here.
Wait, I was confused because x is on the 1. So I thought the m would be 1.
So this is your x-intercept, but we're counting the slope from this point to this point. What is the change in y over the change in x? There are questions. Okay, when we get back, we're going to continue this. We're going to skip around. So let's look at number 3. Yes, we are. If you want to do it, you're more than welcome. What is the y-intercept of number 3? 2. What about the slope? Find the 2 points on there and count the slope. Good. So how would we write this equation? Do you have any questions on that one? Who asked? Did you write this down? Point right here. Point right here. Up to the right side.
Can you do it it's up to the right side? You also do a line down to the left side.
That would give you the same answer.
My whiteboard was right. I was in the classroom pickup.
The problem one. Let's do. Do we have any other questions on this page that we want to see you go over? Okay. What's the y-intercept for this one? 1. What is the slope? Look at your 2 points. -3/1. We're just -3 simplified. So how would we write this equation?
Y equals -3x plus 1. Okay, so. No phones in this class.
Alright, other questions on about before we go on to the next page? Go on to the next page. Let's do number 7. What is the y-intercept? 3. What is the slope? 4/4, which was simplified to be 1. So how would we write this equation? Y equals x minus 3, or y equals negative, sorry, not negative, 1x minus 3, either or.
Thank you.
Yes.
How did you get the M1?
Here, we're counting up, we're going up 4, we write 4.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes.
How is it 4 and 4?
How is it? But if you looked at a different point, it doesn't matter. Whatever you chose would have been 3/3, 2/2, 1/1.
Because I got confused because I thought I was looking at the intercept, not the slope.
So we're looking at 2 points to find the slope.
What if you look down?
Same thing. Because you would be going down 4 to the left.
Oh, okay.
Let's do 11. What is the y-intercept? 0. What is the slope? 3. -1. So you could write this a bunch of different ways. Tell me one way to write it. So you could write it as y equals negative x, y equals negative 1x, y equals negative x plus 0, y equals negative 1x plus 0. You don't need to write all 4 of those, just pick one. But all of those are acceptable. Other questions on this page? Jackson, do you have this one written up? Any other questions on this page? Go on to the next page. Right, so on this page, I want you to write this at the top. Your horizontal lines have 0 slope, and our y equals. Your vertical lines have undefined slope, and our x equals. This is not going away anytime soon, so this needs to stay in your mind. So we talked about how to find the slopes of horizontal and vertical lines, how to find the intercepts of these, how to graph them. So this part is just the writing piece. So if we have a vertical line like this one, it's going to be at x equals whatever, wherever it crosses the x-axis. So what would this be? X equals what?
0.
Where does it cross the x-axis?
4.
Not 4, but close. 3. This one is a horizontal line, so we would look at it. It would be a y equals, and we would look where does it cross the y-axis? -1. So y equals -1. Take a minute, fill out the next 6. I will highlight the lines just in case you can see them. check your answers with mine. Do you have any questions on those 6? So when we see these, we are no longer writing the slope, we're not graphing, we're not trying to find the x and y intercepts, you are writing the actual equation of the line. Go on to the next page. Okay, so this page was basically repeated, taken from the slope notes, so we did some of these already. I'm just going to rewrite in some of these things. Y equals mx plus b, we know is our slope-intercept form, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So if I asked you to give me the equation of number 5, what would that be?
Y equals 1 over 4x.
Where you put y equals 1/4 x plus 0, either or. Are there any others in that section you want to see do go over, have questions about? Okay. So we were writing the equation for number 6, what would that look like? This is also negative 5/2 and negative 3.
Y equals negative 5/2 x minus 2.
The second section is in standard form, converting it back to slope-intercept form. So as a reminder, your standard form is ax plus by equals c. Where, let's do number 2. How would I start to solve this for y? How would I get it back into slope-intercept form?
Subtract 4x from negative 30.
Yes. Not necessarily from negative 30, but from the side in general. So we have 5y equals, I'm going to switch these two, negative 4x minus 30. And divide everything by 5. What is our new equation? This x minus 6. Are there any others in that section we want to see do go over and have questions about?
3.
Makes sense. Oh, Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay, 3. Any others? Okay. So for 3, what would be our first step? Subtract what? X to both sides. Negative 3y equals negative x plus 12. Divide everything by negative 3. What would that new equation look like?
Y equals
1/3 x
Minus 4. 1/3 x minus 4. Remember, you're dividing by 3, not multiplying, so it should be underneath, not next to. Alright, Ellie, you said 5. Alright, if we were solving this one, subtract 4x. We have negative y equals negative 4x. You can put the plus 0, you don't need it. And then what are we dividing by? Negative 1. So that y equals positive 4x. Or 4x plus 0. Either one. Yes.
Would that be constant sign?
The slope.
I mean,
You have a slope. Go on to the next page. So at the top of this page, where it says point slope formula, I want you to write this down. Y minus y1 equals m, then in parentheses, x minus x1. This will be another formula that we need to remember. We are going to use this when we're given a point and a slope, which is why it's called point slope. The y and the x in this stay just the variables, y and x. And we know is your slope, your y1 and your x1 would be your point. So we can label these. x1, y1, your slope is m. And then once we know which one is which, we can start to put it into the equation. So it would look something like y minus whatever your y1 is, so 1, equals your m, or 3, parentheses, x minus your x1, which is 2. Then the goal is to solve this so that we get it back in slope and step 1. How could we do that?
Add 1 to both sides.
We will do that, but not distribute. Multiply the 3, distribute to everything here, yes. So y minus 1 equals 3x minus 6. Then add the 1 to both sides. So that our new equation becomes y equals 3x minus 5. Something we'll do next class is some decimal stuff. But this equation has the same slope and goes through this one. Have questions on that process before we do a couple more?
Can you do 5?
Sure. Actually, because I want to do one that's negative and one that has a fraction, I'm going to let you guys do that. So, let's skip 2 and move on to 3. Because I want to show you what happens when we have negative values. You don't have to label, but if it helps you, continue to label. Same process. Let's put that into our point slope. We have y minus our y1 is negative 7, so I'm going to write it like this. Equals our slope, negative 1, times x minus 4. So anytime we have a negative number, whether that's in the x or the y or both, we need to change this to a plus before we do anything else. So if this were inside these parentheses, we would change that to a plus before we would distribute.
I should get the eggs.
Is in the formula. Right. So in this case, we can make this plus and distribute at the same time. And then our last step would be subtract 7. So that our new equation is what? And if you just put negative x minus 3 or negative 1x minus 3, either way, it doesn't matter. Do you have a question? Sure. Because I want to do 1 with a fraction, so we're either going to do 2 or 6, so we can do 6. So let's do that one. That's our x1, that's our y1, that's our m. Same process. Y minus 4 equals negative 3/4 times x minus 6. So when we distribute, we're going to get a fraction. Okay. Negative 3/4 x, what would that fraction become?
1.
You can multiply this in your head, in your calculator. Negative 3/4 times negative 6. 9/2. This would be 18 over 4, or 9/2. So then when we add 4, this is going to stay a fraction. Sometimes your y-intercepts are fractions, it depends on the problem. Figure out what that new y-intercept is. So our equation, even though it doesn't look nice, would be y equals negative 3/4 x plus 17x. Questions on that? I'm going to give you some time, and I want you to try these other three. 2, 4, 5, and then we'll come back and talk about it. So you can talk to the people near your table, but we're not moving. When you have finished those three, raise your hand up.
So you can, but you'd have to write it on here and then still go back and write it on here because this is the recording. This is the sub.
Translation.
Okay.
What happened to Of course, yes. How you say it?
Ella, hold on 1 second. Go ahead.
What?
Sorry, we just can't do that at the same time. Stop throwing things. Max, go sit down, please. Okay, so if you also got, which most of you did, y equals 1x, 1/2 x, y equals negative 2x plus 9, and y equals 8x minus 55. Those are good. Good enough. Did we have any questions about that?
No.
So we're going to hold off on this part because it's a lot for next class. for the remainder of class, you can either be working on problems in the back that are related to anything we've talked about, anything we skipped over. You could be working on Delta Math. So there is one due next Friday, the first part 1, writing linear equations part 1. That's on the first part of this. And then part 2 you could start, because it's on what we just talked about, but maybe not be able to do anything from that class. Or you could be working on missing Delta Math / the Canvas activity.
I already did it.
Oh my gosh. You guys can work together, move around, be using this time wisely.
Go back to